Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Idle Hands, and we're back with a new video that deals with the damage computation in Ragnarok Online Mobile. For today, what we're going to talk about is about the RuneMasters auto attack damage, the crit to be specific. Before we start, as usual, just a couple of reminders, and there's a couple of things I wanted to discuss before I go into the discussion. Um, for everything else, I want to thank everyone from Team Leaks, Bacon, Cremacy, Campana, Cerulean Blues, Dual Editor, Gomu, Meryl, Macaz, and of course myself. Um, so a group of people in the unofficial ROM Discord group who likes to deal with all of these damage formula and some new stuff which can be found in the game files. Again, just a disclaimer, I'm not one of the devs. I've never worked there. I'm not a professional developer. I'm not a programmer. I don't know anyone, and I'm not employed or I'm in nowhere connected with XD or Gravity. Everything I'll be talking about will be based on my understanding of the game code and my experience with the game. So please take everything I say with a grain of salt. Okay, that aside, let's jump into the discussion. Okay, so before we start, I just want to explain why I decided to pick this topic, why we're gonna talk about the crit RuneMaster build. Um, when I first played Ragnarok, one of my favorite characters, actually my favorite character was a knight. When I started playing in ROM Mobile, sorry, in Ragnarok Mobile, the first character I created was a knight. There wasn't any Crusader back then. Crusader was later added. I think it's about the Glass Tame patch. So, I started out as a knight, and I've played majority of my playtime in Ragnarok actually as a knight class. When I quitted sometime last year and I came back, I kind of found it difficult to be part of several parties. I mean, on weekly activities. So I decided to just shift to Divine Avenger so I could, do all of those weeklies. But I still keep a lot of those night stuff, um, the Rune Master specific stuff in my inventory. Um, and I'm gonna flex a bit. I mean, just for example, the runes, right? I mean, sometimes you get nice runes, and you know, if it's a job you don't like, you just use them to. I mean, you just recycle them. You just use them to get the runes you want. But if not, I mean, then you keep them, right? I mean, so I still keep the ones for Rune Master, like this one, um, the Death Awakening rune, um, Anger Reflux. Still contemplating whether to pick higher CD or whether this one is the third line. I think the higher cooldown here would be better. Anyways, so yeah, I've always been a Rune Master, a Knight by heart. To be honest, I really enjoy playing this class. For me, this is one of the, I mean, this is actually the most balanced class, and this gives you a lot of flexibility in whatever game type you wanna enjoy. There's also a running joke in Discord that this class is a favorite of the developers because they never fail to buff this class or to just create updates that somewhat benefits this class. So, anyways, um, yeah, there are two builds really that people would probably choose when going Rune Master. One is the Dragon Breath type, and the other one is the Auto Attack type, which is a crit Rune Master, which we're gonna discuss now. So again, I've picked this because it's very popular. This has a very huge investment. Okay, to be honest, if you're gonna invest, mediocre amount of semi, you'd really be disappointed or underwhelmed with your damage output. So this is a class that requires a lot of planning and preparation. That's why I decided to, you know, to pick this first to be discussed because I think this will help a lot of people to plan ahead. Okay, to start the discussion, I first have to explain the sources and the multipliers that are involved. So um, if you don't know what the sources and multipliers are, I have a prior video where I kind of gave an introduction on those two things. So um, if you want to be able to fully understand the stuff we'll be talking about here, it would be great if you could drop by that video first and watch it. It's kind of long. You don't have to finish it, but if you do have time, just go through it. It gives you the required knowledge to be able to follow with the discussion here. Okay, now let me set this up real quick. I'm not an expert when it comes to creating videos, so pardon me. Okay, there you go. So these are the sources, and I'm going to explain everything in a bit, but let me just go through them real quick. So first you have attack, and then you have magic attack, then attack speed add, and then magic attack, which I'll explain later, normal attack, base attack, refine attack, skill real damage, the enemy's VIT, and then normal real damage multiplied by refined damage reduction. I'll explain it in a bit. So attack is, your raw attack that you get from gears, cards, Aesir, adventure runes, your enchants, job growth, and the journal bonus. Now, the attack you see on the screen on your status window, that's already with the, attack percent. Okay, the attack that we're talking about here is without the attack percent. Remember, attack percent is a multiplier, and we're just dealing with sources here for now. Magic attack, it's a bit different. So this is your raw magic attack multiplied by magic attack percent. Now, I did it this way because I wanted to show you um, why it's important to actually also raise your magic attack as a crit knight. Um, and this is one of the reasons why a lot of people kind of tend to prioritize magic attack, especially higher level ones. That's because, and this is the, the formula for normal attack. Just give me a second here. Just if you go here, to see what constitutes the attack variable. So you do have attack one, which is, what I explained earlier, which is a character's attack. The others, you can ignore that for now. I want to focus on magic attack multiplied by 1 plus magic attack per. This means that your magic attack multiplied by the magic attack percent is included here in attack. Now, if you scroll down here, this one. So this is the AutoAttack crit formula. If you scroll down here, that was inside the attack variable. And if you look here, here's attack percent. Now, what does this mean? What this means is that your raw magic attack gets multiplied by your magic attack percent and then gets multiplied by your attack percent. That's of course if you have enchant blade buffs on, but of course if you're auto attack RM, you definitely have it. So so it means that your magic attack gets multiplied not just by magic attack percent, just like in Dragon Breath, but also by attack percent. So you have these two multipliers bumping it. Your attack, although it's still a huge factor in terms of your damage, only gets multiplied by attack percent, in comparison to magic attack. Okay, attack speed add is the normal attack damage you gain from Sword Quicken. I've pegged it as 1200. I think that's the max you can get there. Magic attack is the Abyssal Contract. I don't know if you know it. Give me a second, I'll show you real quick. So there's a skill here. There's a there's a skill for Rune Masters where this one, Abyssal Contract. So you basically deal extra damage to your auto attacks, equivalent to your current SP. So each auto attack will reduce the current SP by 1%. So at max level, I think there's about times 1. So it's SP multiplied by 1. Okay. Next one is normal attack. So what this is so there are several things in the game that goes into this bucket. So like the Sakura puppet tail, if you know what that is, and also the normal attack damage bonus from strength. So if you don't know it, every point in strength add, adds 5 points to normal attack. So that's why for normal attack rune masters, it's still important to add something into strength. I'm not saying you should focus on strength. I'm just saying you're foregoing this if you don't put anything into strength. So base attack is your attack from strength, dex, and luck. I'll show you real quick how that is computed. Okay, there. So this is how base attack is computed for the melee class. So it's strength multiplied by 2 plus rounded down strength multiplied by strength over 100 plus rounded down dex over 5 plus rounded down luck over 5. Actually, if you've noticed in the loading screen of the game tells you that you get more attack for every 10 strength that you have. And there's a lot of speculation online that 10 strength is to 1% damaging. That's not true. This is it. This is what that bonus is talking about. It's basically strength multiplied by strength over 100. So that's what you get. That's a bonus for strength. That's separate from the normal attack bonus. And then you have refine attack. So there's a refine attack coming from refining your weapon and accessories. It includes refine attack from journal, from cards, and I think from Esir. I think Esir also has refine attack. And metallurgy. I forgot what the term is in the God Anvil. You know, I think that's how it's called in Seiya. Then you have skill reel damage. Um, that's Aura Blade. So Aura Blade adds, raw attack. And an enemy vit is a negative multiplier. I set it at 0 just to kind of give everyone a good view of how the damage progresses. And then normal attack true damage. So that's normal real dam multiplied by refined dam reduction. And I've only put the name like this because I want to highlight that normal real damage is still being reduced by refined damage reduction. So refined damage reduction actually affects every single attack source, even the ones that are mentioned as true damage, as long as it's an attack damage, it affects it. So what you get here is, I mean, this is coming from monoculars. Actually, I think this is the best example I can give. So I just set this at 0 because um, I didn't. I mean, like in the regular build for crit auto attack rune masters, I don't think you actually get a lot of this. But you know, I'll probably share the file that I'm using here in the Discord group afterwards. So I don't know, feel free to play with it. Okay, so these are basically the attack sources, and this is how they are um, spread out in the formula. So let's see here. So this attack, it's right here. So again, attack, it's been bucketed into one, but basically magic attack is there. The magic attack from Abyss Contract is there. Sorry, the SP based attack from Abyss Contract. Um, the Sword Quicken, so it's all there. So here's one source attack, and then we have another here, base attack. Let's add it here, and then we have refine, and then skill real damage from Aura Blade, and then yeah, normal real dam is further down below here, and this is a pretty long formula. I'm sorry, probably can't talk through all of this because the general damage formula is actually where the auto attacks and crit auto attacks are, and it's actually shared by every class. So there will be several variables here. Like for example, this last one here, this isn't even for our class, okay? But it's still there because if skill level is 0 here, then it's just 1 plus 0, right? But anyways, yeah, the normal real dam is further down below, just a little bit below, I mean, before final damage. Okay, so those are the sources. Now, we're going to talk about the multipliers, and I'm gonna highlight this real quick. Again, the multipliers here are kind of a lot, actually. So you have your attack percent, um, and for normal attacks, the attack percent actually includes the normal attack SER. If you do remember, these are I think there are 6 nodes, about 3% each. So that's included into attack percent um, in the computation. Shape correction, which is the weapon versus size penalty. I mean, it's all explained in the previous vid, so I'll probably kind of talk about those that were not there. Um, Just a reminder, because I've gotten several questions on this, dam reduc is actually the result of damage reduction and penetration. Okay, so that's what you actually, that's what dam reduc is. So people asking where penetration was, it's inside dam reduc. Cult crit. So this is the modifier for crit. Keep in mind, crit ignores flee, it ignores defense. Actually, the right term is it bypasses defense. Okay, so it bypasses defense. And it actually starts out at 1.5 multiplier. Okay, so even if you don't have any crit damage percent, your crit will be about 1.5. Um, Now, cult crit would be 1.5 plus your crit damage percent that you see on your stat screen minus your crit def or crit damage reduction of the enemy. Damage increase is PDI, y'all know this. Holy equip is Holy Avenger's refine bonus. Um, Normal end. So this is the auto attack. This is the auto attack damage modifier. So this is where zeal, the zeal enchant goes. So I'll show later where that is. Um, and then final damage, which there's Wind Perch Drake, there's Whale. I think the Undead Edgar card is also included here. And then we have result. The result is 1 plus result dam ink minus result dam res. This is kind of like an implementation, the way they implemented the final damage increase and final damage reduction. And I'm going to show you later how that looks like. But basically, for RuneMaster, if you have, I think it's called Deep Cut. If you have the S rune for that, where I think it's a second line where it's supposed to reduce the enemy's damage. So that's actually a negative result dam ink. So it gives the enemy a negative result dam ink, therefore reducing the value of result, thereby reducing the end damage. Um, Result is also part of the Stellar Hunter SP arrow. Um, I'm not going to talk about that now, but if you want to have a discussion about the SP arrow, just let me know in the comments below. So I'm gonna show you where those multipliers are. Okay. So here you have attack percent, you have the weapon versus size penalty, body elements all here, race, boss, it's here, damage reduction, again, penetration is here. Um, what else? The crit modifier is right here, and the damage increase modifier is here. Okay, the others here are actually variables that we're not going to use, so we'll just not discuss them. Okay, normal and sorry, holy equip or the holy avenger um, is further down below. Now, all of this, the computation here goes into a variable called damage. Now, if you go down here, damage becomes damage multiplied by these variables. And I'm gonna skip these because this is not relevant to our discussion and this. But I'm gonna talk about this because this Holy Avenger. Okay, that's why it's very important. If you're an auto attack rune master, it's very important that you get at least a plus 10 Holy Avenger or a plus 15 Holy Avenger. Okay, I mean, it doesn't have to be plus 15, but plus 15 is nice, right? Plus you get a bonus penetration on 15. So plus 15 weapons gives you a 3.6% hidden bonus penetration. So plus 15 is definitely nice. Now, so you take damage, it's still in damage here, um, and you go further down, and then you get the normal real dam and the normal end here. So this is what I'm talking about. So normal M real dam is the one from monoculars, so it adds to your damage, and then sorry, your fine reduction reduces it first here, M dash, so multiplication comes first, and then it gets added to your damage, and then lastly it gets multiplied by normal end, which again is zeal. Okay, and further down below, so this is damage. And I'm gonna skip a lot of stuff because these are things that are not part of what we are discussing. Okay. Sorry, I think I skip it. There you go. So damage, okay, becomes damage multiplied by final damage, multiplied by monster final dam. Don't mind this. This is not relevant to our current discussion right now. Multiplied by result. So as you can see, this is how it plays out, thereby making final damage and result the strongest multiplier because it affects all of the sources that we just mentioned. Although, to be honest, if you're talking right, I mean, like final damage and normal end, there is very little difference between them, right? So if you're in a crossroads where you have to pick between an equal percentage of final damage and auto attack damage, you probably just pick the lowest one, right? I mean, if you have less final damage, you pick that one because then it gives you more because that's how successive multiplications work. Okay, so I hope sources and multipliers are clear. I hope everyone was able to understand what we're talking about, and I hope you were able to follow through. Next part of the discussion is we're going to show you how these multipliers affects the sources and how they kind of play out and how what really makes up your damage because I know a lot of people are kind of interested in that. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you how the different sources interact with the multipliers when it comes to the crit auto attack. Pardon me, the screen will be a little bit busy. I created a graph to kind of show you how it progresses. Um, and I'll try my best to explain it in detail. Um, Although please forgive me if I'm unable to explain it to the fullest because again there are limitations such as my knowledge and I mean I, I'm not a trained teacher, so for some who finds it difficult to understand, just let me know. Ping me in Discord, and I should be able to have a short discussion with you. Okay, now let's go back to our Excel file. Now these are the values I've set for these sources. So I've had attack at 7k, magic attack at 4k. So keep note 7k attack. This is before attack percent. The 4k magic attack is after magic attack percent. Sword Quicken, I've put it at 12,000. Magic attack, so the Abyss contract, I've put it at 3,000 because I think that's about a good amount of SP of current SP for RuneMaster. Of course, this depletes with every slash that you make, but we're just gonna set it at 3,000 for sake of discussion. Normal attack, I'm gonna put it at 500. Again, this is normal attack plus the bonus you get from strength. So if you have 100 strength, that's 100 multiplied by 5, that's 500 already. Your base attack, which you get from strength, dex, and luck, is 940. I just estimated based on the stats. Refine attack, again, just an estimate here, and aura blade. So you had to estimate the real damage that gets added from agi and luck. But these are rough figures, so we're gonna use these. For the multipliers, I did set them like this. So 1.8 for attack percent. This is including concentration. This is including the Azure nodes, and then maybe whatever 1% unlock you got from gacha. Shape correction, since we're using sword, and since there are precision stones available, I'm just gonna put this as 1. Okay, and then damage to size, body param, I've you know set it to 1.5. So basically, these are the numbers that I've set. I mean, of course, the could be different for your case. Okay, it could be different. Um, but these will be the dummy values that we'll be using. So created a simple graph here. So these are the multipliers. So these are their levels as you see. Um, one one um, above sorry above one would increase your damage. Less than one would reduce your damage. Okay, so as you can see here, the only thing that I've put in that's less than one is damage reduction. Okay, so this is the only part that would reduce the damage. Sorry, refined damage reduction is there too, but I didn't put any refined damage reduction. I set it to one, just for the sake of discussion. Now, we're gonna add attack to to the chart here, and this is how it looks like, right? So you start with 7k, and this is how the multipliers increases your attack. So as you can see here, the increase is not exponential, but since it's successive multiplications, the next variable actually multiplies the result of the previous operation. So that's why here you just see it skyrocket up to, I don't know what value is this, 360k. Okay, of course, um, a big contribution to that damage increase was your crit, which I've put in at 3, which is 300%. And of course, it still got increased by these. So as you can see, towards the end, it just skyrocketed. In comparison, this is your magic attack. So again, the base I've set is 4k. Now I understand, sorry, the magic attack after magic attack percent that I've set is 4k. I understand a lot of really strong rune masters out there have insane magic attack already, an insane attack. So like what I said, probably gonna put this file out there. Feel free to play with it. This is not, you know, this will probably not be 100% accurate because there will be variables in your character that I don't know. Maybe when you enter it here, when you enter the valuables here, you may have missed out something or such. I guess what I'm trying to say is this file, if I share it, doesn't come with warranty and support. Okay, so so you can ask me questions, but I can't really guarantee that this will work out really well for every user out there. But I'm gonna share it nevertheless, and feel free to ask me questions. Okay, so again, your magic attack is actually affected by every single multiplier that also affects attack. So if you're gonna, I mean, end game, if you're gonna look at the value for money in your investments, right? It's really logical to raise magic attack because not only do you have, I mean, the unlocks in the journal are cheaper, but also since your magic attack started out pretty low, increasing it kind of gives you, gives you high yield. And that's mainly because, again, we're talking about successive multiplications. It's just how it works. Remember little Timmy? Yeah, little Timmy. Okay, so this is how magic attack progresses. Again, it's affected by all of these modifiers. Again, the end modifiers here, I think these really plays a huge part, especially if you can actually raise them really high. Um, Crit is very easy to raise. So if you're following the same model, right? Crit is easy to raise because again, it starts at 1.5, and I think it's called the Fortitude rune that RuneMasters has, where you get crit damage for every buff that you have. So that one will just make the skyrocket. I know people who have more than 300% crit damage percent. I mean, this is nothing. So if you can get this, then it means, I mean, these values here, if you can attain these and damage increase, this is, I think that's pretty simple because you have Lord's Aura, which is already 30%. So you can attain this, then, just imagine how far it would skyrocket when you have investments here. Anyways, so let me add attack speed add. So again, attack speed add is from Sword Quicken. This is how it works. Again, if you look, they follow a certain trend, right? That's because they're all affected by the same modifiers. Actually, let me just put those that are affected by the same modifiers out there. So as you can see here, they all follow the same trend. I mean, the spread just varies depending on how big your base value was. But basically, they all follow the same trend because they're all affected by the same multipliers. Now I'm gonna add base attack. Now base attack is not affected by certain multipliers. And just so you can see, let me remove attack and magic attack, just so you can see how it progresses. Okay, so as you can see here, base attack is not affected by attack percent, um, weapon versus size penalty, um, body param, which is the size damage, element param, which is the element ratio, element param 2, which is damage to element. So base attack is not affected by those, right? And to be honest, you ask me, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? PvE wise, it's definitely not a good thing because you want to raise, I mean, as you're raising your multipliers, and these are the common multipliers that are easy to raise, you want majority of your attack to actually be affected by it, right? In PvP, um, I'd say it's up to you to decide whether it's a good thing or not because it means that you have 940 of your attack, which is not affected by, you know, I don't know, maybe the body pattern or the element pattern, right? So, but then again, I think if you sum it all down, net, it's still not a good thing that they're not affected by these because it's so easy to raise these, even if you have enemies who will counter you here. Um, I mean, it's easy to raise, right? And then it just gets multiplied by the rest of the multipliers here. Okay, so that's base attack. That's okay. So now let's move on to refine attack. Um, show it real quick. So again, refine attack. is kind of difficult to get um, because you have limited sources and, you know, from your weapon and your accessory, it's very difficult to gamble. So, um, let me go through the formula real quick. So this is where Refine Attack is and skill real damage. So as you can see, gets multiplied by this parameter, um, which is your crit, then refine, damage reduction, then PDI. So here you see it started out at 500, gets multiplied by your crit modifier, and then damage increase further increases it. Um, Holy Avenger, Zeal. So as you can see, it's a good thing. PvE wise, you probably barely will notice it, but endgame when you're fighting against really tough characters, um, you know, it's a good thing that it's a good thing to have refined attack because this damage it doesn't get reduced by death, doesn't get reduced by damage reduction, and all of the other multipliers here. And as you know, I think I've explained this in a prior video. In PvP, there's something called PvP adjustment. So aside from the HP adjustment, there are also certain multipliers where they adjusted the values, thereby giving you additional resistance. Um, and that's the reason why a lot of characters are much tougher when it comes to PvP in comparison to PvE. Okay, so that was refine attack and skill real damage again from sword aura. Um, it's just the same. So if I remove refine attack here, so it's a brown line actually. If I remove refine attack, it follows the same curve. It's the same thing. Vit, I've put in 0 because it's the enemy's Vit. It actually reduces your damage before it gets multiplied. Let me go here real quick. So at this point, your damage, so whatever the value is, gets reduced by this, okay, and then gets further multiplied. Okay, let me see here. Next, the last source is oops, sorry. Yeah, the normal real time. So again, there's a true damage from binoculars. I didn't put anything. I've put it at 0, but just for experimentation purposes, let's put something there. Let's say, for example, you have 200. Then this is how it's gonna look like. Okay, don't be confused by the axis. Okay, it's the only thing here. But basically, it gets multiplied by normal end, final damage, and then result. Okay, let me put that back to 0. So overall, your damage is the progression of your damage is gonna look like this. Okay, um, and you see here in my setup, attack's still the biggest factor, followed by magic attack. I'm pretty sure it's gonna look different for other people, and I guess this is really what I've been repeating to everyone. Um, the way these multipliers will affect your damage depends on your current setup. There is no way anyone or myself can actually tell you whether race damage or crit damage would be better because it really depends in your case. You see, you have these sources that are unaffected by certain multipliers. Also, the values of your multipliers will kind of affect, how the overall end damage looks like. Okay, so I hope this was clear. This is, just kind of the damage projection. Now, my 800k damage, if I just kind of break it down here, I'd see that this is what makes it up, right? 43% is still from my attack. Magic attack is about 25%, and then this is the breakdown of the others. Now, what this means is, um, or how you could probably use this information, you know, is to be able for you to kind of see um, how certain sources are contributing to your damage, and if it's really not contributing a lot, especially for PvE, so for killing MVPs or clearing contents, then you can replace it with something else that would give you a higher yield. Okay, so you may be asking, yeah, Idol, I mean, good discussion, all of that is all pretty good, but what is this good for? I mean, how is this going to be useful for us? Well, again, like what I said in my earlier video, not all of this knowledge should be useful, right? But I'm not telling this isn't useful, but in a way, when you're planning your character, it will be useful to know, um, what sources you need to focus on, what sources you want to focus on. Specifically, if I'm just interested in killing MVPs, right? Then I know that those sources that are affected by the most number of multipliers are the ones that I need to focus on. Yes, MVPs could have sort of reductions, but with the current state of the game, you can just pump a certain modifier just really high, right? And essentially, that you don't really have to think about any MVP reduction, except maybe just for a couple of those who are really, really tough. Yeah, so picking which sources you want to focus on. I mean, knowing how the multipliers affects or interacts with the sources kind of gives you an insight on how to plan. Again, earlier in what we talked about, right? This is probably one of the most expensive um, builds. The crit auto attack build. It's probably one of the most expensive builds for RuneMaster. So you may want to plan things out before you actually buy a certain gear, right? So this should be able to help you with that. Also, knowing how the all these interacts kind of shows you, like for example, I have my multipliers here, right? So here I know like result and final damage are, I mean, I have really low values, right? So increasing this could really increase my damage a lot. Like for example, this is my base, right? 820k. For example, I wanna so I have normal end at 1.1 and final damage at 1.05, right? Let's say, for example, we have an opportunity to add 5% to either normal end or final damage. So if I add 5% to normal end, okay, this becomes 1.15, then my damage becomes like this, 866k. But if I if I add it to final damage, the 5%, then my damage becomes 868k, right? Not that big, but it's still bigger, right? Again, um, that's because you know in, in successive multiplications, um, the best way to increase the output, the end output, is to actually increase all of the multipliers, not focus on just one multiplier, but spread them out. Again, little Timmy. But then again, yeah, I mean, not everyone has those the luxury to do that. So most of us we just pick what we can get, and I don't really think it's a bad thing. It's just I think it's important to know how a certain gear or how a new card will affect your overall damage. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the discussion. I hope you learned a lot, and I hope you kind of got gotten a better understanding of how the auto attack works. One thing that I do want to point out, and I'm not sure if this is a bug, um, the there is a multiplier called melee damage reduction and range damage reduction. In most cases, they act as a counter agent to damage increase. So if I go to Dragon Breath formula, if I go to Dragon Breath formula, you'd see here this is long range damage reduction. This is what Duff Garment gives. Um, the upgrade of Goibne, I forgot what it's called, but whatever. It's the one that gives range damage reduction. So it serves as a counter agent to damage increase here. But okay, um, for the crit normal attack, see is it here? The crit normal attack, it seems to be missing. So I did some tests. I did some tests just yesterday with Eternal Disconnect, and thanks Eternal Disconnect for your time. He's a member of the ROM Discord group. So we did a test, and so basically I wasn't able to capture a video. Basically, his crit damage on me remained the same with and without the melee damage reduction um, rune. That's a small rune, the small blue rune in your rune grid. So I basically removed it and added it, and his crit damage didn't change. So I'm not sure if this is a bug, if this is intended, if this is gonna get changed in the future. But for now, it's not affected, I would say, based on a formula. Um, you could do some testing, maybe on your own to validate. I could be wrong, but that was a test we've done, and we basically found that it did not change his crit damage on me. So yeah, could be a bug or could be as intended. We don't know. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you learned a lot. And I'm planning for my next video, so just let me know in the comments section. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do subscribe. We're about, I think, 300 subscribers away from hitting the 1K mark. So it would be really awesome if we could get 1,000 subscribers. Um, Also, shout out to my guild, Gottheit, to our guild master Norman. Um, he's a good friend of mine from the Discord community. Norman has been playing probably for as long as myself. He's one of the kind people you'd meet in the night channel in the ROM Discord group, and he'd be willing to yeah to help you with any of your questions you have about RuneMaster and Ronin. So again, guys, thanks a lot. Thanks for watching the vid. Um, Really appreciate it. Thanks for the comments on the last video. There were nice comments. I appreciate all of those feedback and the tips you guys have given me. I'm looking forward to making the next video. So if you do have any suggestions, if you do have any requests, let me know in the comment section. I can't promise I'd be able to do all of them, but should be able to pick one and then hopefully, just make a video in the near future. So thanks everyone, and I'll see you on the next vid.